everybody. Welcome to week 13 of the college football season. My name is Mike Browning. I'm the host of the College Football Road Trip at cfbroadtrip.com. I'm coming to you this week from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where we will be going to our last in-person game of the season this weekend when Georgia Southern takes on Coastal Carolina. First of all, I was at the South Carolina game against Missouri and Columbia last week. What an amazing game, especially the last few minutes. The fan base of South Carolina was amazing. It's great what can happen when you see an up-and-coming team and how the fan base can rally around them. So congratulations to South Carolina. Should be a decent game this weekend. I've had a lot of fun over the past week or so visiting first Columbia and now the Myrtle Beach Conway area. Got to go to Myrtle Beach today. That was a lot of fun. In the meantime, there's some decent games going on this week, including the one that I will be going to. So let's go ahead and jump into this week's picks. And we're going to start off with a Friday night game out of the Mountain West. We have 24th ranked UNLV traveling to San Jose State. UNLV only has one conference loss so far this year, and that was by 5 points to Boise State. So that kind of tells you how good of a team UNLV is. They have a good chance of making it to the conference championship game, but they need Colorado State to falter along the way in order to do that first, but they're still in the running for that conference championship game. On the other hand, you have a San Jose State team who does have 3 conference losses so far this year, but if you look at them, 2 of them are to the undefeated teams in the conference, both Boise State and Colorado State. So I think the UNLV is a better team, but San Jose State is not quite as bad as their record showed. They've had a much harder strength of schedule than UNLV to this point. With all that said, UNLV, as I mentioned, I think is the better team. I think they will be able to win this game. I have UNLV winning on the road at San Jose State on Friday night. Let's start off now with our Saturday matchups. We're going to start off with an interesting end-of-year non-conference matchup. We have UConn traveling to Syracuse. I think UConn's kind of a team that has surprised some people this year. They're usually cellar dwellers most of the time, but they have a 7-3 record this year. That's pretty good for a team like UConn. But if you look at their strength of schedule and who they've played and who they've lost to, they're 7-0 against non-Power 4 teams and 0-3 against Power 4 teams. On the other side, you have a Syracuse team who has lost, their last 3 football games, they have either won or lost by 1 score. 2 wins, 1 loss, all by 1 score. That tells you that this is going to be a close game throughout. I think this will be a close game as well. 2 of UConn's losses to Power 4 teams were by 1 score or less as well. So I think this is the type of game that can easily go into the 4th quarter. But Syracuse will find a way to pull it out in the end. I have Syracuse winning at home over UConn. Next, let's go to the first of what will be 3 Sun Belt games that we're picking this week. The first is Sam Houston traveling to Jacksonville State. Sam Houston has won their last 3 games, all by 6 points or less. And in 2 of those games, they scored 10 points but found a way to win, and they scored 9 points and found a way to win. That kind of tells you that their defense has been pretty dominating. If you can score that few points and still pull away with the win. Jacksonville State is probably the best team in the Sun Belt right now. They have won their last 7 games. They're undefeated in conference play. I think that's going to be able to continue this week, especially playing at home. I think Sam Houston's luck will finally win out in these low-score wins. Jacksonville State winning at home over Sam Houston. Our next Sun Belt game, we have Western Kentucky traveling to Liberty. Western Kentucky was going along really well in Sun Belt play until they lost at home last week to Louisiana Tech, a so-so Louisiana Tech team. So that was kind of a big loss for Western Kentucky. On the other side, you have a Liberty team who is coming off a 1-point win over non-conference foe UMass. They do have 2 conference losses already this year, but Liberty is playing at home. I think that Western Kentucky loss is going to continue to haunt them going into this week on the road. Because of that, I think Liberty is going to be able to pull off the win. I have Liberty winning at home over Western Kentucky. Next, let's go to an interesting SEC matchup. We have Vanderbilt traveling to LSU. Vanderbilt is coming off a loss a couple weeks ago to South Carolina. It was definitely their biggest loss of the season, losing 28-7. Part of that is South Carolina just being on a roll. The other side is Vanderbilt is still not a great team, but they're still doing a lot better than a lot of people anticipated. On the flip side of the coin, you have an LSU team who has lost 3 straight, all of them by double digits. The first 2 to Texas A&M and Alabama are understandable, but going and losing to Florida by 11 points is not really understandable. That's why a lot of people are upset with the LSU program right now and Brian Kelly and what's going on from a coaching situation. Because of that, all that turmoil and what's going on there, that is ripe pickings for a team like Vanderbilt to be able to come in and pull off an upset win, and I think they will be able to do it. I have Vanderbilt winning on the road at LSU. Next, let's go to a Big Ten matchup. We had 25th ranked Illinois traveling to Rutgers. Illinois is coming off a win over Michigan State, in which they looked pretty good, which is great because they lost the 2 weeks before that. Rutgers, on the other hand, has won their last 2 games, but before those 2 wins, they had lost 4 straight. So they were able to bounce back quite a bit. This is one of those games that's going to go down to the wire. Rutgers is the home team in this one. I think they will be able to pull it out in the end. I have Rutgers winning at home over Illinois in Big Ten play. Next, let's go to our first ranked versus ranked matchup this week. Out of the Big 12, we have 14th ranked BYU traveling to 21st ranked Arizona State. BYU is coming off their first loss of the season last week to a so-so Kansas team in Big 12 play. They've had a lot of injuries and just haven't been playing that well. So this was a huge win for Kansas and a huge loss for BYU. But that's only one conference loss for BYU. They're still right in the thick of trying to make it to the Big 12 championship game. On the other side, you have an Arizona State team who has won 3 straight games, including a win at Kansas State, who was ranked 16th last week. That was a huge win for the Sun Devils. The question is, will they be able to keep up that momentum, or will BYU be able to bounce back from that loss? This is another situation where Arizona State is the home team. They have a lot more momentum on their side. They've looked great over these past couple of weeks. BYU, even before the Kansas loss, had struggled somewhat over the past couple of weeks before that. I think Arizona State's forward momentum will continue this week. I have Arizona State winning at home over BYU in Big 12 play. Let's go to our second ranked versus ranked matchup of the week. 19th ranked Army traveling to 6th ranked Notre Dame. Army is obviously undefeated on the season. They're 9-0. But if you take a look at their record and who they have played, they have not even played a Power 4 team to this point. They have beat a lot of teams that any team probably had a good shot of going 9-0 against. It is impressive to go 9-0 even against a schedule like this, but they just have not played a single team, and now they have to go on the road and play Notre Dame. Notre Dame team that has looked very good over the past few weeks, ever since their upset loss to Northern Illinois in week 2. They've only had one score win since then, and that was against a ranked Louisville team. Every other win that they have had has been by more than 1 score, and they have looked good doing it. I think Notre Dame just has all the momentum on their side. Now will continue again this week against the overmatched Army team. Great job, Army, but it's going to come to it in this week. 6th ranked Notre Dame wins against Army. Our biggest game of this week is out of the Big Ten as well. 5th ranked Indiana traveling to 2nd ranked Ohio State. Everything I just said about Army, you could also say against Indiana. Indiana, great job of getting to 10-0 so far this season, but they have not played a single dominant team. They have not played a single ranked team this year. They have not had a very strong strength of schedule in the Big Ten. They have not played Penn State. They have not played Oregon. Now, this week, they're finally playing a very good team in Ohio State. An Ohio State team whose only one loss this year is at Oregon by 1 point. They have looked great in every other game that they've played. Indiana, just like Army, is going to be able to go on the road. They're going to find a team that has too much to play for, and they're going to kind of be brought back down to earth this week. Second-ranked Ohio State wins at home over fifth-ranked Indiana in Big Ten play. And then our final game this week, the game that I will be at this weekend, Georgia Southern traveling to Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern was in pretty good shape of making it to the Sun Belt Championship game, but they had a huge upset loss to Troy last week, a game that they should not have lost by any stretch. They still have a chance to make it to the conference championship game, and that's because they have a head-to-head win against Marshall, who's currently leading the division. If Marshall loses a game and Georgia Southern wins out, Georgia Southern will still find a way into the conference championship game. Coastal Carolina, on the other hand, has really struggled this year. They're right around a 500 team, have been there all season. This is easily Coastal Carolina's worst year since 2019. It's kind of sad to see them come back down to earth, especially the year that I'm coming to visit to see them. I wish that they would have had a better record going into this game, but they're just not the team that they've been the past few years. I think Georgia Southern still has a lot to play for. They're going to come back, bounce back in this game. They're going to be able to pull off the win on the road. I have Georgia Southern winning on the road at Coastal Carolina. So again, this is my final in-person game of the year. It's been a great season. I'm glad I've been able to pick out and go to so many cool games, been able to see so many places. Over the next week or two, I'll be finishing up my blog entries first for my game at South Carolina, and then the week after that, probably my time here at Coastal Carolina in the Conway, Myrtle Beach area. In the meantime, go enjoy the Week 13 games, everyone. We'll talk to all of you again next week.